Greetings YouTube. This is part 2 of my deep dive series on the Tannus Foam Insert. So what we're looking at here is the end result after installing the insert. We can see that there is a pretty big wobble in the wheel. So we're going to talk about how I installed the insert and what the result was, which we've already seen, which is the wobble. And that's what we're going to get into this video today. In the next set of videos, we will talk about how to fix the wobble by removing the insert. And we will also demonstrate that this rim is not out of true because we're going to true the wheel with the foam insert in. So we got a couple more videos down the line. And first things first, we got to show how we installed this insert. So I used the time-lapse function on the camera. Unlike the website, which says this can be done as fast as 5 minutes, I don't believe there's a mechanic on earth who can do it that fast. So it took me about an hour. First things first, I took the valve core out of the existing tire. That way we have all the air out. Then used a tire lever to pry off one side of the tire that was already on the rim. Then I got a 4-ounce Tupperware. And use my tubeless sealant injector to remove the tubeless sealant and put it in that Tupperware, because I recently added a couple extra ounces just because it's springtime and it's been about 6 months since this tire's had any sealant added to it. So we'll reuse that for later. I tried to pour what was in the tire into the 4-ounce Tupperware container as well. Once we finish that, we went ahead and cleaned that up, and then we get our Armor tubeless tire insert. Now this is the 160 gram model. It's made for 29-inch diameter wheels and for tires that are between 2.1 and 2.6 inches wide. The tire I'm running is within that range at 2.2 inches wide, and the rim is greater than 19 millimeters wide. So kind of checks off all the boxes. First things first, I inserted the foam insert bead on one side of the tire. So I got that in there, and then things got really challenging. It took me over an hour to get this thing fully on. My shop's a little cold in the springtime, so I did use a heat gun on low heat to heat up the insert and the tire, being careful not to overheat it, but just to get it up to like room temperature so that it is more malleable. So this is my first attempt at that, and one mistake I did make here is I didn't get the second side of the foam insert bead on the rim before trying to reinsert the tire bead. So that's what I'm messing up here, and just kind of rereading the directions over and over again. So I realized my mistake, and that's what I go and do now, is I'm just putting in that other side of the foam insert bead on the tire rim. So you can see me doing that here. So if you bought this product, learn from my mistake and always tuck in both of those edges of the foam insert into the tire rim before you try and reset the bead on the tire itself. And you can see this process is not easy. It's very challenging. In the tutorial videos on the Tannus website, they'll recommend you use a dish soap actually to help with lubrication. I got some clamps to try and just clamp the outside of the tire because the foam bead kept popping off. So I figured I would just try and clamp the tire itself in place to try and keep the foam from popping off over and over again. And then I just kind of went the traditional tire lever route, using tire levers to get the Tannus insert on the wheel rim correctly. Now once the strategy with the clamps failed, I put some more heat on it to try and get some more malleability, and then focused on using a tire lever only strategy. And I'm back to using focusing on getting the bead and the foam on at the same time, which is not easy, but that's what I'm doing, you know, just trying not to get frustrated, trying to stay calm and just work the problem experimentally. So that's what we got going on here. And we can see the levers prying back, the tube finally making some progress. I actually broke one lever, which you may see in this film, but it might happen so quickly you can't see it. So I'm down to my last set of beads, and so I'd recommend getting like 5 or 6 tire levers and just slowly working the bead back on. And if you do have a partner or a friend, have them help you work the bead back on. This is definitely something that's easier with more people. I think if you had 4 people, each with 2 tire levers, you can make this go a lot easier. So now I'm just warming up the wheel again because it's gotten cold, so that I can focus on my last portion. And you know, again, my shop's cold in the winter, so it's spring when I'm filming this, but it's still cold. It's not heated, so this is the strategy I have to keep the rubber at around a little warmer than room temperature, probably about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is right around 27 degrees Celsius-ish. So at this point, I'm still trying to get the bead on there. Oh, that's where I broke the tire lever. It's just absolutely painful. I'm using my left foot to hold one tire lever, and then I can use my left and right arm to pry the bead on with 2 more tire levers. Absolutely excruciatingly painful process. I wouldn't recommend this to my worst enemy. And if I had known that this insert was going to cause the wheel to wobble back and forth and create a bunch of other issues, I wouldn't have ever purchased this product or inserted it into my wheel. So anyway, we did get the bead on, and that gave us some time to use the compressor to slowly add air in to just set the bead on the tire. So I just went up to about 2 bars there, and then I used this stand sealant that Tannus sold me with the insert, and put a couple ounces of sealant in. So that's what we're doing here. I'm using my sealant injector, as you do. I have other videos on how to do tubeless tire conversions, so check those out if you're looking for a more detailed tutorial on that. And I actually found that pouring the sealant into the 4-ounce Tupperware instead of using the bottle they gave you is easier, and then just using the injector. So we put our recommended amount of tubeless sealant in the tire. And now that that is done, we can put our valve core back in, tighten it up, and then inflate this guy to pressure. So I put about a little less than 3 bars in. Definitely don't want to overinflate, especially with a foam insert. And kind of shake the tire around, make sure that sealant's everywhere, and then take that time to spray the cassettes with some chain lubrication, and then install the back wheel. Which is what we're doing here. Just kind of doing a visual inspection of the wheel, make sure the tube itself is and the bead itself are on the rim as it should be, and making sure this chain's nice and lubed. And it was at this point that I noticed that I had a wobble issue, which was really concerning because I knew I didn't have that issue before I put in the foam insert. In any case, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you around.